about 60 passengers. When it came time for those workers to dismount that Ferris wheel and then that World's Fair, they thought it was almost impossible to do. So instead they compromised. Many days they dug a large hole around the Ferris wheel, set dynamite charges to it, and blew it up. They then buried that Ferris wheel in Forest Park, which still remains today. If you should visit Forest Park, they still have a couple of structures that are staying from that World's Fair. They are the Birdcage in St. Louis Zoo and the Art Museum out on Art Hill. And since we're talking about artwork, we'll talk about over here to our left. You can see a lot of artwork right here on this stretch of the river. We're talking about this flood wall here to our left. This is the flood wall of St. Louis. Glacier flood protection for the city. It's about 20 miles long, stands about 20 feet tall, and designed to hold back flood waters that reach stage about 52 feet on the gauge. The cost of that flood wall was $89 million. Since its completion back in 1973, the city of St. Louis has only seen 3 major floods. One in 1973, 1993, and 2019. Had this wall not been in place, the city of St. Louis would have suffered over $100 million worth of damage during each flood. Now, like I said, this is our art gallery of the trip. You can see the little graffiti over to our left on the side of the wall. But just behind these trees here, you can see some real artwork. You'll see a mural on the side of that wall. It's called Reflections of the River. It's supposed to show you what type of wildlife lives in and around the river. This is also a bike trail that went back around side this flood wall, but that trail has been shut down for now. Another piece of artwork is coming into view right now, just behind the trees on top of that hill behind the flood wall. You'll notice this long building up here has a big painting on the side of it. The name of that painting is called Migration. Now that's a big Welcome Missouri sign for the people coming across the bridge out ahead of us. It was painted back in 2014 at the cost of about $135,000. It took at least 4 months to paint it with about 500 gallons of paint. And then it took just 1 weekend for them to come up and tag it all up with that graffiti. Now to our left and right where we pass by a few docks. First dock here to our left is the Apex Oil Dock. They handle petroleum products. Now they bring a large tanker barge alongside this dock and they connect these hoses dock to the barge. They'll heat the product inside the barge, then just pump it along to those storage tanks. Cross over to the right side of town, you'll see another dock known as the SCF Grain Elevator. At this grain elevator, they load a barge in 45 minutes to an hour with grain. Right now we have at least 2 barges tied there, known as jumbo hopper barges. He's the most commonly used barge on rivers today. Each barge about 195 feet long to about 35 feet wide. When loaded, they carry about 1,500 tons of cargo, or 5 times their own weight. First barge to our right is empty, drawn about a foot of water. The second barge on the inside of the dock is loaded, drawn about 10 feet of water. Now you can see just how low that loaded one sits in the water when it's fully loaded. If you need a close look at a loaded barge, look over to your left here at this next dock. We have a loaded green barge sitting down low, drawn about 10 feet of water. This is sitting at the Continental Cement dock. Continental Cement manufactures over half cement used to build the Panama Canal. They manufacture powder cement here in Missouri and everybody in Hannibal. That's about 100 miles north of us. Now they'll bring their powder cement barges down to this dock and they will offload by means of compressed air or by a vacuum. Bridge ahead of us is known as the Stan Musial Memorial Bridge. It's the first new bridge here in St. Louis over 40 years. Opened back in 2014 at a cost of about $665 million. It is a 2,800 foot long cable stay bridge with towers that stand about 400 feet above the water line, almost 2/3 the height of the Gateway Arch. There's a lot of structural steel inside the bridge, about 50 million pounds worth, 132 miles of cable, and 1.4 million pounds of rebar. It's designed to last about 100 years. These towers are about 1,500 feet apart, which makes it the third longest cable stay bridge in the United States. It does carry Interstate 70.